Welcome to another episode of the Skidoo Lounge. I am your host, Gorilla, here today with a special guest, Moonchild. She is a Reiki healer. She is also the lead designer and owner of Flashstorm Designs. And we're just gonna kind of figure out what Reiki's all about. So, Moonchild,
Hello, thank you for having me here.
what is
So
Reiki?
Reiki is a healing process. It's non-medical. It's been around for a very long time. And it's more about feeling about the power that is within you to heal yourself rather than looking to outside things to heal you, like physicians, medical, modern medicine, that sort of thing. It kind of goes along with what I believe in very much is that you are completely in charge and have the ability to heal yourself completely without medicines or modern medicine.
When did you start the whole I want to get on this? This is something for me. This is something I want to do. Something you believe in? Because I mean, a lot of people are religious. They may be spiritual, but we a couple about a month ago we had on Shell, who was a hypnosis or hypno person that does past live regression. What's at what point does a person in your guys' shoes say, okay, well, I'm going to take this sect or I'm going to go to this sect? Which street did you, was there just something you found interesting about it? Or was it something that you were like, oh yeah, I fuck with this. This is what I want to do?
It started out really slow. I've always been, initially, I was always really into astrology, although I didn't like follow it down the path to finding out all of the specifics that you can about astrology and birth, zodiac signs, and all of that life paths. Um, Really, where it started to me was I was really intrigued by the stores, the metaphysical stores. So I,
What are those, the crystals?
made it to my adult life, never been in one. So I was very intrigued, and that's pretty much where it started. I started going into a metaphysical store, getting into and reading about and trying to understand crystals and the different things that they can do to help you. Um, and then that's pretty much where it started. I started with the crystals, learning their properties and how they can help, and then it's just grown from there.
So have you just recent, the last couple of years, or has it been like kind of something that's been calling you for a lifetime type deal? You just never realized that this was what you were looking for?
I think it's called been a calling for a lifetime. Although it's just now that I've had I obviously grew up, got a job, got married, had kids, spent my life way through my 30s and my 40s raising kids and working in daily job, trying to support everything. But now, kids are grown and gone. I live alone. I have plenty of time now to study and learn on things that I want to learn about. So that's kind of where I took a couple. It's been a couple years ago that I really started focusing on what I wanted to learn and starting down that kind of path.
For people who don't know much about the crystals and all that stuff, where do you think is a good place for them to start?
There's plenty of books that you can get. Research online. What I did was I found something about myself that I wanted to change or fix, or that just needed work. Like, say you don't sleep well, is a really easy example. All of us are busy. We're stressed out. We're tired. We've had a long day. Sometimes it's hard to go to sleep. So an amethyst stone, um, it has many different qualities and it can help with many different things, but it's really good with helping you sleep. So I started there. And I slept with it every night. Every night that I slept with it, I was easily able to easily fall asleep much better than any other time without it.
Did you now? Do you believe in like ghosts and all that stuff, like past or not past life? But do you believe in like a definitive you go to heaven or hell, or do you think like there's a spiritual realm, or do you think that there's
I do not believe that there's a heaven and a hell. I believe that it is
we're
something
already
that
here?
people have created. Huh?
We're already here in hell.
Yeah, I believe that's something that people created to be able to wrap their head around it because just believing in spirituality rather than religion and believing in the spiritual realm and that there really is more than what we perceive. is out there. There's a lot of people who can't handle that theory.
Right. I can definitely, yeah, I didn't like to think that there was nothing but blackness. It's a terrible feeling.
Right.
And then, like, I started talking to Shell and all those other people, and they talk about having soul families and this whole other life that could possibly be, I guess next level for real. It's like leveling up almost. So you started looking into the Reiki stuff, Reiki, and I'll never get that right. Doesn't matter how many times I try. What do you think would be your next step when it comes to learning more about that? Do you have anybody that you studied or anything like that? Like Shell said that she was all about that Deborah something or the other. Who was that Doctor Dispenza or Dispenza guy that you were talking about before we got on air?
Espenza, yeah. I'm reading his book, Becoming Superhuman. And it is really, really interesting. It kind of combines scientific with spirituality and how we're really capable of creating anything that we desire. We just, no one has taught us how to do it. You're programmed from a young age to just follow the process, get up, go to school, get a job, go to work, have a family. And we kind of get lost in that until you take the time to sit and think about it. And, if you really internally think about it and you focus on the things that you want to change, you can change those just by changing the way that you think, and the way that you perceive life.
So you're a firm believer of manifestation.
I am.
Can you give me an example?
But why I believe in it?
Yeah, like has there you manifested something in your lifetime that has actually came true or that has happened?
Um,
Little or big. I mean, obviously, I don't expect you to be able to manifest millionaire status tomorrow, but
yeah, it's just something new that I've been working on. So just small things like if I didn't want to go do something, but I was going to go anyway because I didn't really have a good reason. Then there's a reason that happens, that keeps me from going to that event or that thing that I was not wanting to go to. That's something really small, but it's also something you got to start small to grow big, I feel like. So I've just started trying to really work on the way that I think about things, manifesting small things one at a time, to build up to my grand
grand
vision.
finale.
Yeah.
I also see that you also see. I also saw that you do photography and all that other stuff. What came first, photography or design? Like your love for designing.
Photography was first. I did that when my kids were little and made them hate getting their pictures taken. But I did that, and then I worked for a photography company for 6 or 7 years, and then I did it on the side after that for a bit. It wasn't until just maybe 4 or 5 years ago that I got into the designing, like merch designing and the digital art that I've been doing now.
Would you say that you use your spirituality stuff to produce some of the art pieces that you use, whether
It's
it be psychedelic or?
Yeah, it's starting to influence it a bit more than it did in the past.
You also work with Flux Corporation to do their music.
I do. I track their music, and create the demos to send for mastering.
When did you start fucking? When did you start liking to do stuff like that? Like when did you start taking more of a creative path than just a logistical going to work, waking up, taking care of. I understand it was after your kids left, but like there had to have been more for that than just oh my kids are gone now I can start focusing on the shit that I love to do. Was there never like a I want to be a part of this rock stuff or I wanted to be a creative photographer or I wanted to be this or it was just a way to make money throughout time?
Um, the photography bit, well, all businesses are really hard to get into and really start making a living off of. I dabbled in photography for a little bit, doing like graduations or weddings, and that sort of thing. But it's not really what I wanted to do. I wanted to do something more creative. But then I had some friends that were in a band, so I started doing some flyer designs and things like that for them. And that's actually where the digital photography started. I was asked to create an image for them, and the first one was really pretty terrible, but which I still have just so that I can look back on it and see where it started. But that's where the digital photography imagery started. Was with that. It was just somebody asked me to do a picture for them, and I tried it, and then I kept trying and trying, and now I do it on a regular basis for just myself. For other people, I do consignment work. Somebody has an image for a birthday party, a graduation, a gift they want to give. I do a lot of those.
And then like I've seen you do commercials and stuff for like Crimson Trident and stuff like that. What? How did you get? At what point did you think that you could start making this into a side business or a side hustle?
Um, I just it's just like people I get asked to create something, and I'm like, I don't really know how to do that, but let me see what I can do.
Right.
So I just try, and then the first ones were okay, and then they've gotten better. So it's really just taking something that I know nothing about doing, and then just trying to see if I can accomplish it.
And then you were also featured in a magazine and an art show. Do you want to talk about that? What was the magazine called? What was the pieces that you had entered? And
It was called Art Sharky, and I got chosen to be in the magazine. My art was featured. I had 10 images featured in that article. That was really really exciting. Um, they choose a different artist. I believe it's on a monthly basis, but that was fun. I entered it. I'm sure with tons and tons of other people, so I was really excited about that.
now, when you do your images, I've seen several of them. Where do you get a lot of your inspiration from to do a lot of those images that you've done? Whether it's the tree image or that one that's hanging over there on the wall, etc., etc.
Um, Generally, what I do is I just pedal through images until I find one that intrigues me, and I'm like, what can I do with that image? Then I pull that image, and then it's not really like I have a specific mindset of what it's going to end up to be like. It's like I start with a basic image, and then I just kind of, whatever comes to me, I overlayer them until they fruition into an image that I'm happy with.
Would you say it's easier to just freeball it, or is it easier for you when someone comes to you and says, "I want this done with this exact thing," or does it become like a constant thing of send over, "Oh, you don't like this? Can we critique it this way? Can we make it that way?" Yada yada yada.
It's much easier to create my own because I don't have a final product in mind. I just go with what comes to me. Um, the downside of doing it for people who are wanting this image is they have an image that they think that they want.
Mm-hmm.
So they give you the specifics. This is what I want. This is how I want it to look, and then you do that and send it to them, and it's really not what they want. Then they want to change it, and which is fine. I understand that. You just have to keep changing it to find something that they like, which I'm more than happy to do that with. But most people initially don't know what they want when
They've got like an idea and then they just want to see it put out there so they can start seeing it
yeah, and once they
verbatim.
see it, they want to. It's not exactly what how they pictured it would be.
Right.
So it's easier. It's honestly easy. It's way easier to do whatever. Just create random images than it is to do a commission part piece.
Now, there. When did you start doing the like you were? We kind of touched base on the Flux Corporation. When did you start having an editing mind where you were like, oh, I can do this, or I've got a ear for music, or was it more of just like trying to help out a friend, and then it just kind of snowballed to where you guys are now, or
Yeah, I was just trying to help out a friend. Honestly, he's been in music for a long, long time. And been in many different bands. Now he has his own creation that he started. But initially, it just started by wanting to work on his own music, and contracting a studio or a technician or someone to help track it and produce it was quite expensive. So we bought the software, we set it up in my basement, and we learned by trial by error.
kind of pisses you off a little bit at some point, doesn't it? To where it's like, wow, motherfuckers are charging $800 for a 2 hour session or whatever it may be, and then you can sit down here for an extra day or two and get the same, it's
Yeah.
pretty much the same exact quality.
Yeah. We do really good for it just being in our basement. We've been working with another musician out of the country that has
Matteo,
really
right? Or Matteo? Matteo?
Mattia.
I can't ever say his name
Yeah,
either.
he's from Italy, but he's gave us some good feedback on what we've been able to create in our basement with just the two of us. So, you know, I don't know. I don't have a good ear for music at all. I'm not even gonna
Must be doing
pretend.
something right.
I'm not even gonna pretend that I have an ear for music. I have gotten better over the years, but really, I'm the techie, the computer part of it. I, you know, I load it up and create the tracks and record the tracks. The music, all the instruments, how it sounds, all of that is really all on him.
Now, being a content creator myself, I think one of the most annoying things in the world that I ever hear is simplify it. Does that ever come across to where does it bother you, or do you prefer simpler designs and stuff like that?
No, I think the more intriguing they are, the more um, elaborate they are, the more, you know, interesting they are to me. Everybody can do simple.
Right,
Um,
right.
you know, what's the if anybody can do it, then what's the point of really doing it? But you know, some things I guess it calls for simplicity. But I think in the art world, the more outrageous it is, the more call there is for it.
Do you by chance have some favorite artists that you draw any kind of inspiration from, or is it just like you know what I mean? You're just doing your own thing. I mean, I'm sure you don't study Van Gogh and Picasso and all of like those guys, but was there never any commercials or designers that you saw you were like, fuck yeah, I can do that, or that looks cool, or
Um, there is not any specific designers or artists that I have followed. I do see some work here and there, but I don't. I've actually, I think that I have created a unique niche for what I do because even if like at art shows and such,
mm-hmm.
I don't see. You may have people with digital landscape pictures or they have digital photography that they've taken and they've altered in certain ways, but there's not very many digital artists who use overlaying to create their
So you
images.
would say that's your niche is the overlaying art or the overlaying of the art
Overlaying, yeah, the
images.
digital images, yep.
What has been your favorite piece so far? I mean, I know for the listeners, they're not going to be able to see it. And, you know, I could put it in the description maybe, but what has been your favorite digital design that you've made?
I think my favorite one is one of the first ones that I did actually. It's called the Lotus Gate. It's everybody says it's a little dark, but
Dark as in like dark, like emo type deal?
yeah, like yeah, it's not, you know, it's not fantasy and it's not happy and um, energetic. It's kind of a deep thought kind of piece. That's one of my favorites. I have a couple other favorites too. They're all on my website, but I think that was the first one that I did that I was like, this is what I want to do. This is really great.
Where is, since you were talking about your website, where is your website so that people can find your art?
It's flashstormdesigns.com.
Oh, wow, got her .com and everything.
Yep.
Moving up.
Makes it easier to find.
Yeah, it does. Compared to the Crimson Trident page, it's trident-time.company.site.com. We need to get on that. Um, when did what's your future? What's your dream with the Reiki and the do you plan on doing like having an art studio one day where people walk in and buy your stuff off the walls? Do you plan on signing on to a major, not label, not music wise, but like a major uh, magazine, a major art, whatever it may be called? I'm not very huge into the heart game, so I couldn't tell you.
Honestly, I want to own a store. I have this image of creating this local cafe that will kind of encompass many different things. I want it to be like in a touristy kind of place on a boardwalk, say, near the ocean. And I want it to encompass like local artists, jewelry makers, artists, musicians, all of that sort of thing, and kind of incorporate into a place where you can come and hang out and listen to the music or buy the merch or, you know, have a studio in there where we can also do like meditations and Reiki experiences and that sort of thing. Kind of like a multi dimensional cafe of
So
some
like
sort.
section it off almost, and then go over here for your Reiki healing, go over here for your past life, whatever. Go here for
Right.
your
Go to the
art and
right for your
merchandise.
spirituality
Yeah.
stuff. Go out back for your hookah and socialing, go to this area for uh, local artists and musicians. Yeah.
If you could choose one place right now, like say tomorrow you woke up and you got to wake up wherever you wanted to in the world, where would it be?
In the whole world?
In the whole world.
I don't know. I haven't been outside of the world really to choose a favorite place to go. In the states, I'm thinking the top two places that I would want to set up my retirement and what I'm looking to in the future was either going to be someplace South Florida or somewhere like South Carolina.
You have a name for your future cafe?
I do.
What's it called? I'm interested to hear what it's called now. I don't think I've ever asked you.
It's called the Vision Cafe.
Hey, that's pretty fucking dope.
It's called the Vision Cafe because I feel it will be a vision, not only my vision, but it could be the vision for many other artists.
Right. Now, is that what your game plan is? Is to basically help boost local artists and get their stuff out there more than just what they would possibly be stuck with?
Yeah, I would really like to help local artists,
Promote is
musicians,
what I should have
anybody,
said.
any indie people in the area because, all of the all of the progress that we've made with computers and Wi-Fi and
Mm-hmm.
all the electronics you can download your songs. That's really. I mean, it's great. It's great progress, but it's also really hurt the indie people, like
Mm-hmm.
the musicians,
Mm-hmm.
because you used to be able to sell your albums and sell your CDs or go on, sell, make all this money from your labels and stuff. But when you're only selling downloads of your song instead of like whole albums, stuff like that.
So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. Like it did really good in bringing the world together, but it really kind of alienated
It
the
makes it a
indie
lot
people.
harder for them to make money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of people, like little people, like I'm a little person. I don't, as far as art world and being able to sell a lot of things. There's not a whole lot of places that you can just go in with, say, 10 items and be like, hey, can I sell my items out of your store? A lot of stores you have to have like a huge following, or you
Mm-hmm.
have to have so much money and that you've earned, or the money that you've made, profits and such. I would like this just to be like somebody's made their first 10 things and they think it's amazing. I'd like them to be able to bring it in and just be able to put a little,
Right. Sell it
little
off the
area
wall
together,
type
yep,
stuff.
and sell it.
What I know you're partnered with a couple other companies. Has there already been any other indie artists that you've helped produce or help push forward? I know you're partnered with Crimson Trident. You help them do quite a bit of work, whether it's their clothing or other artwork or low key just trying to get the name out there. Have you been able to get approached by anybody else, or has anybody else reached out to you? Have you reached out or tried to play your card? Didn't if I remember correctly, there was like somebody that was wanting you to look at their video or do a video for them, another band or a company.
Um,
Something like a music festival, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I misunderstood or misheard.
no, I had taken some photographs for a band a while
Photographs, that
back,
might have been it.
just to help them out. I didn't really do it as a project or anything. Um, and then, there's been a bands that I've taken photographs at their shows and such for, but I haven't really been contracted or asked to be contracted as far as any other kind of bands or art studios or anything.
Do you plan on staying independent the entire time? Or if somebody was to reach out to you and be like, hey, I'm going to sign you to a whatever deal, come do cover art, come do
Oh, yeah.
album covers, come do.
Absolutely, yeah. I'd be totally on board if somebody wanted to reach out and have me do their CD covers or their albums or, web pages or anything. Or if, a studio wanted to contract me to sell my prints, yeah, I'd be on board with that.
Not a bad gig, it doesn't sound like, anyway.
No, it's not. Right now, I kind of just do it in my leisurely time, around the weekends. I haven't really put a whole lot of effort into honestly creating a career with it. Really,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I would say I'm just really trying to learn a lot about myself and about different aspects of everything. Really, right now.
Now, if there was one thing that you could change in the past, would that be it? Would you be trying to do independent shit more early on in life compared to waiting until you were 40 to really get into it all, or was it just never even in the options because of the kids and the.
Yeah, well, hindsight's 2020, right?
Oh, no shit, yeah.
If I would have been able to 20, 30, 40 years ago have the mindset that I have now and try to, learning the Reiki and the spirituality and manifestation and all of that kind of stuff, I think my life would have been a lot more, I don't know if I say it would be easier, but it would have been a lot more focused.
Now, is one of your biggest aims to all this wealth or leisure? Meaning, are you doing these things to have financial freedom, or do you prefer to do these things for the wealth of it all, like the
It's I have kind of have two feelings about that. The artwork, the learning the music parts of the music industry, the artwork and that sort of thing is real financial help, income. The cafe, I think all of that is stuff that I'm looking forward to as a retirement, to help supplement my income. But the Reiki and the crystals and the spirituality, that is all just pretty much just for peace and health on my own for myself.
so you pretty much are you not a pharmaceutical type of person anymore. Like you were bringing up earlier about the sleeping. Most people be like, ah, fuck it, I'll pop a Xanax and go to sleep. And you
Right.
were like, ah, fuck it, I'll hold this Antus and go to sleep.
Right.
Now, do you think that that's I wouldn't say healthier because I obviously believe, and I'm not a pharmaceutical guy myself. I won't even take aspirin for headaches unless I absolutely have to. Um, do you think that that's a big thing that happens because people are always pharmaceutical out, whether it's Xanax, Vyvanse, fucking Surfa or Surfa? Oh, they're always pilled out. They're never able to understand, or do you think that maybe that contains them more than to be able to feel that type of energy or that type of transition to stones and all that other stuff? Because even myself, when you got me on that Amethyst stuff, not long ago, it really does. You hold that thing or play with it, or I'll toss it up and around, play with it in my hand, and it definitely calms me down. Whether it's the fiddling it with my hand or whatever it may be, it definitely works.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's amazing how they work. I'm not a pharmaceutical or modern medicine believer. The reason I think that most people go that route is because that's what we're programmed to.
Hmm.
It's, if you watch
Hmm.
TV, all the commercials on the radio, all the commercials are, hey, you got this problem, take this. You have that problem, take this.
My favorite part about that though is at the very end, it'll always be like, but may cause
Yeah,
a thousand other things that might go wrong with you if you take their medicine. Like
right?
it just doesn't seem right
Um,
to me. So I'd assume that you probably weren't a vaxxer.
I was not.
Good job.
No,
Kudos to you.
yeah. No, I was not. I was a firm believer against that. But if everyone gets on board with believing that crystals and Reiki and self help and mindsets will heal themselves, I mean, they would never let anybody. They would not promote that because then doctors are gonna lose
Pharmaceutical
money.
company would lose
Pharmaceutical companies are
billions.
gonna go broke. So that's never anything that they're gonna put out there for people to have people follow them.
That's why I'm surprised that Dispenza guy is still alive. I thought as soon as his shit was hitting the airway, I was like, man, this dude's gonna be dead in a year or two, and he's still alive today. I'm very happy
Yeah,
about that. He's a very smart man. I was looking into that dude not that long ago, and all of his stuff about people being able to come there with like what's that where they shake the cerebral palsy and all that stuff, and be able to heal themselves just mentally just by meditating on it and I mean people might
yeah.
hear this and be like you're fucking out your mind, that's impossible, for many years they had the whole church where they were doing all that crazy, you
The
know,
South
bam,
Baptist
hit
kind of
motherfuckers
stuff.
in the head,
Yeah,
yeah. So it's I don't know. I think when you see stuff like that actually happen, or even like the manifesting things, like you were saying earlier, like the small things of not wanting something to happen, and then you just think about like, fuck, I really don't want to go there, or I really don't want this to happen, and then some little minor thing will happen and to alter the entire course of that, and it's just like, did I do that?
right,
Or was that just by chance? You know what I mean? It's hard to believe in chance when you start believing in
right.
manifestation
When you start focusing
and
on what you want.
exactly and all that other stuff. Now, have you got to meet more of your Reiki healers and other people? Like, have you got to communicate in a group or got to kind of see where everything else is going? Or
I have a lot of like social media sites that I am members of that I kind of watch from the outside. I haven't really like gone to any like meditations or Reiki healings, like group kind of things. No, so I haven't participated in any kind of
is it
thing like
just due to
that.
time constraints, or is it just because you're still kind of weird on it all yourself? You're trying to still do your solo journey before you want to branch out to a more group oriented thing?
Yeah, it's because I don't. I want to make sure that I feel confident and comfortable with what I have learned and how to participate in it, before I
Now you have
move
a
on to
degree
it.
in it, right? Or
I do.
whatever
I
it's
have
called,
yeah, I have a master certificate in Reiki.
Reiki healing. Now that's the finger stuff, right? Where you were like doing all those gang signs and stuff, trying to.
No, the Reiki. No, the Reiki is like it's not. That's a that's a little something. I mean, it can be involved in it, I guess, but it's not really. It was totally something different that I was. learning. Like I've been also looking into um, the hands and feet reflexology.
Is that what that is with the pressure points and all that shit?
Yeah, different. Like if you have a backache, the the bottom part, like the bottom part of your hand and the middle part of your hand, that is supposed to help with back pain. So like one portion is upper back, lower back, and what's really funny is so when I start learning stuff, I'm like I learn it, I go through the course, and then I start trying it on myself before I want to
Right.
share it with anyone else. And it's really kind of funny because sometimes I'll do it and I'm like, okay, so it says to do this when this hurts. And then I'll do it and then I'll forget about it. And then I'll be like an hour or so later, like, wow, my back's not hurting
Did
anymore.
yeah.
So yeah. So yeah, it really did work. So I just keep trying different things and seeing what works for me before I want to like branch out to other things.
That was my next question. Was what do you think is going to be your next branch off after Reiki? I mean, like I've heard you started doing the tarot cards. Now, do you now, as someone who believes in all this manifestation and someone who is starting to get into tarot cards and all that other stuff, do you believe in destiny or is it all free willed? Or do you think it's a mixture of this is where you're supposed to be, this is what could happen, it's up to you to get there?
I think we all have free will, but I also think that um, it's it's part of your responsibility to put into motion of what you want. If you're just going day by day, just going to work, coming home, and not really thinking about where you want to be or what you want to do, you're just kind of going through the motions. There's no reason for you to do anything else besides go to work and come home and go through the same motions every day. Um, but as you start learning more stuff about spirituality and meditation and manifesting, it's really it's really intriguing because like you were talking about, you can start seeing things and manifesting things. And at first it is kind of like, oh wow, did I make that happen or could it be? But
Mm-hmm.
I think that the more you get into it, that's just the beginning of what can happen. Is when
Right.
those little things start happening, you start realizing that, then you start focusing on it more and making your manifestations larger, and that's when you really start to live, I think.
Do you think that there's a lot of things that you can learn from dreams?
I do.
Do you think that dreams are your subconscious trying to lead you one way or another, or do you think that they're just a way to keep you asleep long enough to
I don't know.
refurbish?
I absolutely think dreams are part of our destiny or our manifestation or the spiritual realm. I think it's all kind of intertwined. But I definitely don't think it's just something to keep you asleep. I think it's definitely intertwined in different ways.
So you believe in soul family?
Yes.
Do you think that that has anything to do with the people that are in your life, or do you think that that is just like a common goal that spirits set for themselves before coming back here, and then it's pretty much not everyone for themselves, but
Yeah. That's a little bit far beyond what I've learned a lot about right now, though. But I do believe from courses that I've taken and things that I've read that there are definitely souls that come back together. From what I understand, there's many that come back as a team, not
yeah, a
like not
group of
necessarily a team,
motherfuckers.
but
Yeah.
come back. And they may be, like people from your past life who was your best friend in your past life, maybe your sister or your brother in this life, or, just different aspects like that.
So do you think they just keep coming back until the common goal is accomplished, or do you think that each person has their own set of goals that they were kind of up there in the spirit realm, just like, all right, bro, like you're almost done with your shit. We'll come back and still continue to until you think. Do you think that they keep coming back until each individual goal is complete, or do you think it's a common goal set by the spirit family to reach before going into nothingness? And that's what really scared me was when I had Shell on here and she was like, when you get to your final place, that there's nothing. It's just white or what it's just a feeling of euphoric love and this and that. But in my mind, that's not my. I wouldn't want that to be what's it. You know what I'm saying? Like my end time, I would want to be smoking a blunt, podcasting, hanging out with all my friends from all throughout life.
Right.
But I guess my question is, how do you take worldly desires and continue them throughout the lives, or do you think that each individual life has its own set of desires and it's just one journey of figuring it all out, realization, understanding, etc.?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I don't really think that I believe that once you get to a certain point that that's just the end. I think we're all set here for a reason, um, and I think maybe that we just keep coming here until we figure out our spirituality and start following that path till we become the enlightened ones, and then we are the spirit guides, maybe, or something of that effect to help the next generation or
Yeah.
whoever through.
And it was funny because I remember talking to Shell about this, and I was like, "Have you ever had anybody that is a first lifer? Like all these past life
Right.
regressions that you've done, like, have you ever met anyone that this is their first life?" And she says no, so it really makes me wonder, like, but she said that if you can't deal with your life at the end, you come back, or you can't move on past that stage. And if you look at the world's population, it's like 7 point something billion people. It was only like 2 or 3 billion people.
So there's a lot of people who aren't dealing with their
Yeah,
lives.
so they just keep coming back over and over again, trying to figure it the fuck out. And I don't know. I think that's really weird. Um, and that's what I was getting at was, so you're more of this is a school, not a prison.
Yeah, I think I believe that more.
Interesting.
I think it's a place where we're sent to learn. Um, because if it was a prison,
Because even prisoners have joy. I mean, that motherfucker get his cupcakes and shit on Thursday,
true,
and he's jumping through the roof. Like,
especially these days, they have all kinds of access and benefits that they didn't have before. But um, I mean, but if it was prison, then wouldn't it just end once you pinned it here?
maybe, unless you got that one video I had sent you the other day when we had talked about doing the episode, I was all like, check this guy out. And he was like,
The meat
you've been
suit.
sentenced for 1,000 years, and then after you die, you're to be picked up after birth and sent right back to prison. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
those two life, and that's what really gets me. It's like some of these judges that do that. It's almost like I wonder if they've got some insider knowledge of like, you've got 2 life sentences, so don't worry, bub. You'll be back on another petty charge next life around,
Right.
or something like that. It's kind of weird to think about,
Yeah.
really.
And they could be. I mean, just finding out your spirituality or following it or learning different
But you,
aspects doesn't mean that you can't do it if you're a political person or a judge or
right.
a policeman. It doesn't.
So do you think that we choose to be here? Not that we're forced here to learn something. We choose to come here to learn something.
I'm not really sure about that yet. I'm not sure if we are sent back to figure out something that we missed before, or if we missed it before and we chose to come back to figure it out.
How many lifetimes do you think you've had?
I don't know. They say that that generally, or things that I've heard, I guess I should say, is that you're more drawn to things that you were in a past life. So if I was going to say that I was drawn, the things that I am most drawn to in this life are Vikings. That era.
And it's not because they're big, buff, hot, long haired.
No, really,
Okay,
I
I'm
like
just
the
making
Sword
sure.
Maiden.
Okay, just making sure.
The Sword Maiden. I feel like I maybe was a Sword Maiden once in my life, because I'm really drawn to that era of stuff. Not
So
not with
fuck,
the
we're
buff.
talking what? What were the Vikings? We're talking 30, 40 lifetimes now.
Yeah, the buff Vikings doesn't hurt like to watch it on TV.
Right, I'm
now,
sure it doesn't.
But
I'm sure it doesn't.
no, but it's really like I have. I don't know if I ever told you or not. But like when I die, you have your choice to be buried in the ground, which I'm totally against. Or be cremated. But I actually found a place that it's up northeast that you can actually be put on like a Viking boat and pushed out into the ocean and set on fire.
I know, that's crazy though.
Yeah,
That is intense.
That's really interesting. So that I'm really drawn to that time frame. So maybe I lived back then. The other time that I'm really more drawn to is like the 50s and 60s era. So I mean that's a way more close. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I'm still, like I said, I'm still on my.
You plan on doing a past life regression at some point?
I would really much like to do that. Yes.
I think it'd be kind of scary at the same time.
It would be. Yeah, it would be.
Like, what if you found out that you were what if you found out you were the Zodiac killer in one life or something? You know what I mean? Like, or
well,
just.
He was a male, so I'm pretty safe on that one.
I'm just saying in general, but we don't know. I don't think anybody ever figured that out, though, and that's just what I've always been really weird about. Like, what if you find out?
That doesn't matter, does it? Because when
exactly,
you're reincarnated, you can come back as anything. That's true.
Which kind of makes everything seem kind of weird.
Yes, it does. You can come back as anything.
Now, do you think that your spirit self chose the exact date, time, and place um, for you to be born to have your zodiac signs, characteristics, and negativities and stuff as sort of a attribute list to go through that life with, or do you think like so this life you're a Libra? Do you think like another life you were a Cancer, and another life you were a Libra, or I mean a Scorpio, and another life you were a Capricorn, or do you think you're consistently a Libra?
Well, if we go off the sense that we are the energy within us, I want to say that I would always be the same.
So one more thing, real quick. So like each section of the zodiac is like 2,500 years, right? So like right now we're in the year of the Pisces or Aquarius or some shit like that. So in order to go all the way backwards to the Libra, the light or the time of the Libra, we're talking
Long time ago.
5,000 BC type shit. So do you think that what if you were? Do you think that you were born in that time period and you're just waiting to come back into the next like the full cycle?
I have no idea.
You should have known there would be deep questions like this. On,
I
I mean, let's be honest. Yeah, I'm not trying to make it go 3 hours or nothing, but a lot of
right,
people, I think that, and I got a lot of good feedback from the Shell episode when it
right,
came to about
right,
all of this stuff because a lot of people, whether they do their own research, whether they do this or do that, everyone 9 times out of 10, the first time you meet someone, the first question is, well, what's your sign? Are
right,
you this? Are you that? And when people are looking at it face value, it's like, oh, I'm an asshole because I'm a Cancer. Oh, I'm a fucking arrogant dick because I'm a Cappy, or whatever it may be.
right.
Um, Now, so my question is, when you come here from that lifestyle or from the spirit realm, choosing that set of attributes to help you get through this life, do you think that has any kind of
Well, I mean, I would like to say yes that I was chosen to be a Libra because obviously, it's, the sign of the Libra is the balance and all
yeah?
of
But
that good stuff. But
I know many Libras that have totally fucked up my balance.
who chooses to come back as a Capricorn or any of the
Or a
Taurus?
Taurus.
Weren't you? Weren't you on that kick on one of your
With
other
Tim.
episodes?
Oh,
Yeah,
because I didn't know my co-host for that episode, Tim. He's a Taurus, and I had no idea. I
yeah,
mean, I know when his birthday's in April, but it wasn't clicking with me that he was a Taurus. So I'm sitting here just bad mouthing the Taurus for the first 20 minutes, and he's
right,
like, "Man, fuck you." My bad, dog. I didn't know because Tim doesn't come off as a Taurus. You know what I'm saying? And
right, right.
all the
He
Tauruses that
doesn't.
I know in life, whether it's Ronnie or what I'm saying, my buddy Mern, they're bullheaded assholes. But I mean, don't
Yeah,
get me wrong. If they do it the right way or they use the bullheadedness or their stubbornness in the right terms or the right way, standing your ground instead of pushing over people would be, would I guess would be the kindness of the stubborn bro. But even
right.
Jordan, remember Jordan, Jordan Vickery, he was the guy that I was always with at the old job.
Mhm.
He's a Taurus. You would never have guessed that. Never in your
Yeah,
life. He's very, soft spoken, very at the same time outgoing. You know what I mean? He
right.
just doesn't seem scream Taurus to me at all. Same thing with Timmy. You would have never thought he was a Taurus. Um, I can't remember what Shell is. I forgot to ask her.
Hmm.
But the Libras, you're saying that you came back as a Libra. You're thinking you would like to say you came back as a Libra because you like to balance things out. What about the Libras that just throw fucking off balance everything? They just fuck everything up.
They're not true to their sign.
Do you think it's not true to their sign, or do you think that they're the off balance Libras in a sense? What I mean by that is you can't have good without evil. You can't have
Right.
this without that. Good Libras, bad Libras. Do you think that there's Libras sent here to balance life, and then there's Libras sent to throw everything into a fucking
Could be. It's a good
catastrophe?
question.
Got a lot of good questions.
You
Got
do.
many. I wish I had better answers.
You do.
Just kidding.
Research. You guys keep on learning.
Well, and that's the thing with the research is it seems like everybody who does these things, whether it's the Reiki healing, whether it's the past life regressions, whether it's the meditation people, the hypnosis people, whatever, everyone's got their own set of guidelines in a sense on where they need to get to not empower themselves, but to enlighten, I guess would be like you had said, becoming an enlightened ones. Now, do you think that being a balance to people's lives is what draws people to working with you? The fact that you're able to balance the shit out, or do you think it's more of a
Um, yeah, I don't have a good answer for you on that one either. I have a I have, people who tell me that, like, somebody came in my office at work the other day, and one of my upper management people that aren't local, our corporate office is in Columbus, and she came to my door and she's like, I just love your space. She's like, it is so zen,
Hmm.
so I get a lot of, calm, you know, people who tell me that it's calm or I'm easy to talk to, or, I always just say that I should have been a therapist in my life, because many jobs that I've had, people have always come to me to talk about
Right.
stuff, work related, non work related, but um,
Would you say that's because you're a call it or a coddler, or is it because you don't, or is it because you stand on business? Meaning, do you say, "Oh, it's okay, we'll work this out," or like, "Listen, dude, you're fucking up here. You
oh,
need to get this shit together. What the fuck are you doing?"
yeah, I'm not a coddler. I'm very much of a realist. Like, and you ask me a question. If you're gonna ask me a question, I give you an honest answer. It's not always what you want to hear, but it's honestly what I think pertaining to the situation.
Now, does that come with life experience, or just how you feel in the moment of getting the question?
If it's an experience that I have experienced, then yeah, it comes from life experience. Or if it's experiences that I've had in my life.
So, as you were saying earlier, you think that you came back here to be a Libra. Do you think that children who die early, like say they're 2 years old, a year old, babies and stuff such, do you think that those are spirits that overshot or undershot what they were wanting to get, their zodiac abilities, and then they were just like they were so early off that they were able to succumb to set things because they didn't want to really be here at the time due to that birth date, that time, that person, that whatever it may be? And do you think that that's why they die so young, or do you think it's just terrible genes and stuff like that?
Well, according to his book, you can change your genes.
Right. But I mean, at that age, they're not gonna. That's what I'm saying. Like you're so. That's why they say babies can still see spirits and shit so easy, is because they're still so
That's
close
true.
to that realm.
Yeah.
That's why I've always wondered, like, what if one of your spirit family members they fucking overshot or undershot their birth that they were wanting to get or supposed to get? Do you
Could
think
be.
that's them just like succumbing so they could redo it, or? But then it comes to the question, like, if you're soul family and they've got to wait for the rest of the soul family, I mean, shit, you're looking 80
A
fucking
long
years of
time.
just kicking it.
Yep. A lot of kids are more acceptable to things than adults are, because by the time you become adult, you're programmed to not believe in what you initially were. Um, like as a child, you don't have as much. You're more open. Your mind's more open. Your heart is open. So it's easier for you to see and feel things from the spiritual realm than it is once you start getting older.
When was the first time you saw a ghost?
Um, I was fairly old, I believe. Used to live in several old houses, but it wasn't until like probably in my 30s um, that I saw my first ghost or image, spirit, whatever how do you want
Was
to
it
refer
an
to it.
apparition or just a shadow figure?
I'm trying to think of the very first one I saw. It was like a mirrored image in a mirror, a reflection, I guess, I suppose.
Like behind you?
No, not behind me. It was a mirror that I looked into, like from an angle, and then the image
Saw
that
it
I
from the
saw
side?
was in the mirror. Yeah.
Would you say that the more and more that you dig in and dive into the spiritual realm or the healings and manifestations, are you more susceptible to being contacted, to being in the presence of, etc.?
I think that I've always had something near me. Um,
Do you think it's attached to you? Think you touched something that you
poss-
weren't supposed to touch?
well, it's not. It's not normally a bad. Normally, it's not a bad thing. I'm gonna say there's probably been like 10 instances in the last 20 years, maybe, that I've seen or heard, like different things. Um, and only twice has it been a bad experience.
So only twice you felt like an evil presence?
Yeah. All the other ones have just been something that I've saw, like an image or a reflection or a feeling. But twice in my life, I was actually fearful or very uncomfortable with
No,
it.
I was gonna say not those two specifically, but the other ones that you said it was just a feeling or this and that. You think that's the soul family member watching over you, or a guardian angel, or
They say your guardian angels are with you your entire life.
what was that? You were saying that something earlier before we started recording about that. About you have guardian angels, and then you've got these other people,
Guardians, your spirit
spirits. Yeah,
guards.
yeah. What's that
Your
all about?
spirit guardians. Your guardian angel is someone who's with you your entire life. Your spirit
Are you
guides.
assigned a guardian angel at birth? Do you think, or is it someone you just picked up along the way? It's like I like that motherfucker right there.
I don't know if they're assigned to you, but a lot of times it's someone maybe in your spirit family or someone that was close to you that passed that attaches as your guardian angel. Your spirit guides come and go. Like, I may need a spirit guide to get me through whatever this is. And so there may be someone assigned to help me through whatever that situation is.
Do you think that these spirit guides are just like a pool of spirits who haven't been able to go on yet, and they're just like, help this guy out or help this girl out, and we'll help you get on down the
Yeah.
line? Or do you think it's someone that you actually personally know? You just don't know.
The spirit guides, I don't think that they're people that we know. I think that they're just people that are.
You think they're like what are those things called? What was that show? There was a show back on in the day, the Three Witches, Charmed.
Yeah.
Do you think they're white liars? Those are the spirits, or the spirit guides?
White lighters, yeah.
Interesting. Now, for the people who are like the Charles Mansons, the murderers, the just sadistic motherfuckers, why do you think that they go that far, that evil, that deep? That why do you think there's so more of a killing vibe than a healing vibe? Or does that just come back to the yin and yang? You have to have bad to have good. Because if I was a part of a spirit family and one of my spirit family members were just killing millions of Jews like Hitler did, or killing a third of the world's population like the Genghis Khan and his the Khans did, I just feel like I would have there. Do you ever think there's a split of spirit family, or do you think that spirit family makes that pact and it's just always like that? You don't think they ever get dropped off, or it's like, dude, you're I'm tired of coming back here.
Kicked
If
out.
you're not gonna
See
finish
that?
this, do it the right way, then get the fuck on.
I don't know what causes people to be evil.
Because some people, like, I understand having to do things, like do what you have to do to survive, but it's a whole other thing to just go kill people for fun or as a game, or to consider it.
Yeah, I don't know where the spirituality comes into effect in that situation.
Because there's no heaven and hell, right? Well, in that belief system. So if there's no heaven and hell, is there ever any kind of karma or retribution, or can
There's
you
definitely
basically?
karma.
I'm just saying. Well, I'm just saying to an extent. Like, is there just you could just go kill 1,000 people and nothing happens in the past or in the next life, or do you think that you kill 1,000 people and you end up being some fucking small child in Ethiopia or something?
That's a very good question. I don't know the answer to that. I don't even have a really good opinion on it because, you know, maybe they're the same. Maybe the evil spirits and souls are regenerated also because, you'll have little kids that are born that are just evil from the get go. So,
Yeah, what was it? The Memphis 3 or Memphis 4 or some shit like that. It was where those three kids took that other little boy to the railroad tracks and fucking
yeah,
beat him to death with a rock or some shit like that.
yeah.
One of the kids actually just got out not long ago. He was the kid that I guess that was just watching or whatever, but the other two are in there for life.
Yeah, so maybe those are the souls that keep being regenerated until they become better ones. I don't know. That's, I have no idea where to go with that question.
Well, cause I was just curious because Shell says with regression that if if you're a bad person in this life, what did she say? If you're a bad person in this life, as long as you as long as you basically say what you're gonna do beforehand, the negative impulse of what should happen to you doesn't happen to you because you've said what you were gonna do. Whether it's, do you see what I'm
So if
saying?
I say I'm going to go kill someone today,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
then it's okay.
Because it's already out in the world that that's supposed to happen in a sense. So when it comes to not even a freak of nature, but when it comes to a freak act like, oh, someone broke into your house and you shot them dead, or whatever it may be, or you got into a fight, and what about those instances where you get into a fight, dude falls wrong, busts his head off the concrete, he's dead, You know what I'm saying? Does that make
Yeah.
you a bad person? Does that make you produce negative karma because you were, being biological male of aggression and standing up and whatever it may be? Or
I don't think if it was a random act that
think it's
happened,
got to be premeditated?
I think, yeah, I don't think it would be. I mean, because anything could happen. Like right now, somebody could break in here right now and shoot one of us. I mean, would that be our fault if we fought back and
The
shot
only person
them?
that's dead is the person that breaks into the fucking house.
So how would that be? How I don't see how that would look bad on you. That's what I'm saying. So it
No,
would
but if
have to
that
be
person came in and shot one of us dead, that would look bad on them. It should. I mean, if you broke into the house, you were instigating harm, instigating negative vibe or energy or whatever it may be.
right.
And that, I mean, that's,
But
yeah,
you shoot that guy, that doesn't
you better hope that
look
he
bad
gets
on
shot.
you.
Because I've always said this. One of my biggest things is I don't go out of my way looking to hurt people or to be harmed or to cause harm.
Right.
So if you're coming out of your way to cause harm to me, bro, you better hope to God that it's a one and done. You're dead. Because if not, me and you are gonna be best friends for a couple weeks, and you're gonna bleed slowly.
Yeah.
That's just, I mean, to me, that's, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't go, like I said, and the same thing with, and then I was telling you about my younger sister's stuff, where it's like, I've never gone on in my way to, to personally hurt anybody, female wise, anything like that. So when stuff like that happens to her, I'm like, yeah, you've got me fucked
Yeah.
up. You know what I mean?
Right.
So do you think that wishing things, the whole manifestation when it comes to being able to become a millionaire, to become a boss or a CEO, or to produce sales, produce views, produce, you think you can manifest all of that?
I
Or do you
do.
think a lot of it has to come with working as well?
Nope. I think you can manifest it, but you have to also work at it. I don't think that you can just like sit one day and say, "Oh, I wish I had $1 million and I lived on an island by myself and I had all of this, and that." I don't think it's something you can kind of wish for. I think it's something you have to put in the work. You still have to put in the work for it on a daily basis with the manifesting visualization of it.
But what stops someone from saying, I want to do it like that? I want to make $1 million, I want to live on a beach somewhere, and stops them from, let me just hit that Brinks truck, grab that fucking mill, hit the beach on the run, compared to let's grind it out, let's create a image, let's create a company, let's create a brand. Do you think that there's a good, and do you think the good vibes follows the grinder, or do you think that, oh, you just killed three Garda security guards and took all that money? And like, think about DB Cooper, for instance. That dude didn't fire a shot, didn't hurt nobody, didn't kill nobody. Out in the wind, nobody could ever find his body, never find his money. He's just living out somewhere. I'm sure he's dead now. I mean, fuck, that stuff happened in the '60s or the '70s
Yeah.
or whatever it was. But John Dillinger is another great example of this. John Dillinger, public enemy number one, never fired a shot, never killed anyone, just robbed banks. Was like the modern day Robin Hood.
Yeah.
His last bank robbery, he fired a shot at a cop or something like that to wound him. Ended up hitting him in the heart, killed him, and that was he basically accepted being arrested and stuff because he felt bad about killing the guy because it was never about wanting to hurt
Violence.
anyone. It was just trying to give back to the people. And we're talking right after the Dust Bowl, right after the Great Depression,
Yeah.
and it was just him trying to give back to the people. And there's a famous instance where he goes into a bank, and there's an old lady. She's probably in her 60s or 70s. She's at the bank teller, and she's handing him her money. And he's like, "We don't want your money. We want the bank's money." So like when
Yeah.
it comes to that type of deal, you think it's more of a positive reinforcement compared to you're stealing negative reinforcement?
The fact that he wasn't purposely trying to hurt anyone, I think, would be a positive reinforcement. I mean,
Because
um,
thieving is still bad. But my
mhm.
question is, when it comes to such a legitimate operation to where we are now, I mean, like federal banking system, it's we can just print money and all this other stuff, so that we're going to tax the citizens millions and millions and billions of dollars a year and then send it to foreign countries.
Yeah.
Like, does it really look like he was that bad of a guy? You know what I'm saying?
No.
Or do you think he
Mm.
was a low key a patriot in a sense, like giving back to the people?
Yeah. No. I mean, I don't think he was a violent person. If he was just taking the money to give back to the people, um, doesn't make it okay what he did, I guess. But I don't know as far as the spirituality and good versus evil.
Hmm. Interesting. I think I'm gonna get you and Shell on an episode together and talk about the two separate paths and how you guys think. And
Yeah.
well, I just think that every section has like their own beliefs and like their own karmas and their own, this is what we should do, or this is how we should vibe, or
Well,
we should feel, or you know what I mean. And I think that
there is. I mean, there's so many different paths you can take, but then you also have your own. So just because maybe I'm into crystals and Reiki and meditating and manifestation, and this is what I believe, and she's into past life regressions and the zodiacs and the horoscopes and
Do you think,
meditation.
are they all on the same level, or is it all like this is level 1, this is level 2, this is level 3, or do they each have their own level ups? Like this is your Reiki healing, and then bam, I'm a healer or a holistic healer, and then bam, I'm
Mm.
a fucking whatever. You know what I mean?
Well, and levels, if I mean, you can get different certifications in different scales. Like you can get the Reiki certification, you could get a holistic healer, you can get a shaman certificate, you can get a reflexology.
What's the difference between a shaman and a Reiki healer?
You ask difficult questions.
That's what my job is. That's literally what my job is. I'm being damned for doing my job. It's crazy.
I think Reiki is more towards following the philosophy of the Japanese who created it, and it's more into self healing. The shaman is more into spiritual. Um, they do past life regressions. They do readings. More, they're still into the self healing and self. You know,
So would you say there's a difference between witchcraft and black magic?
I think witchcraft and black magic is the same as saying someone's good or evil. I mean, you can be.
Because you can use black magic for the right things. Like it's only considered black magic because it's quote unquote satanic
Cause you're
rituals.
right. So, it's just yeah. I don't. You can be into witchcraft and do do work that is white magic or however you want to put it.
Mm-hmm.
You can be a witch or whatever you want to consider yourself. I mean, there's so many different. I mean, even if you're a witch, you could say that you're just into your spirituality and you do things for good things. You can. So say I'm into. I say I'm spiritual and I manifest or I manifest things. So instead of manifesting things that are great and wonderful and happy and things that I want to do, if I use it to manifest things that are bad and horrible against other people, I mean that to me is the same as saying
That would be black magic to you.
white and black. Yeah.
Would you label voodoo and all that stuff into black magic as well, or do you think it's the same thing? Voodoo, like, so each magic has its own white and black sections, or
I
light
think
and
it's the
dark?
same thing. I think if you use voodoo per se, quote air quotes,
Mm.
for good, um,
Not sticking pen needles in
it's still
people's
the
dolls
same
and shit
thing.
like
Yeah,
that.
I mean, if you use it for bad, then you go with that's what the whole
So it's
voodoo.
almost like a Star Wars thing, like the Jedi light, light people, and then the Sith are all dark and trying to create havoc
Yeah,
instead
I'm not
of
a Star Wars
peace.
person.
Well, I
I
get
don't know
that,
a lot
but
about it.
it would be like let's see. I'm trying to think of like it's hard to put anything modern without being labeled as a conservative or a fucking liberal. So, but yeah, good and evil, I guess, would be the only.
Yeah, I mean, you can use anything for good and anything for evil. Honestly, just depends on what kind of spin you put on it.
It's true. Would you say that we're collectively as a whole and the population wise, do you think that we're more leaning towards the spiritual realm compared to a religious realm? Or do you think it's just because of the people that we know? In my own group, I don't know too many hardcore Christians. I don't know too many hardcore Muslims. I don't, you know what I'm
Mm.
saying? I know a lot of motherfuckers that carry stones with them, though.
Right?
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And I don't think I've ever met anybody who started with the crystals that doesn't play with the crystals no more. It's once you start down that line, it's yeah, this is it. This is the move.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know anyone who has said, "Yeah, I got a crystal for this and it didn't work, so I quit using it." Um,
Do you think that has anything to do with mental, or do you think it's actually the stone, or do you think it's a combination of both?
I think it's a combination of both. My sister was having problems with her neck, and she's not really a believer in any of that. But she's been to the doctor and she's been to the chiropractor and she's done
Mm-hmm.
this and done that, and still she continues to have problems with her neck, or had continued to have it. And so I got her a bracelet. It was a lapis lazuli bracelet, and I gave it to her, and it helped her neck. A couple weeks
Mm-hmm.
later, um, it did start to help. And she wasn't really so much of a believer, but she was just looking for something to help ease the
Mm-hmm.
pain in her neck. So I don't think you really have to be like a wholehearted, full pledge on believer in it. As long as you're open to the fact that it could possibly help,
You think that's what creates believers?
is when you get
Is
something
just
happens. Yeah,
allowing it to happen, and you're like, damn, yeah, that might have been it.
that
That
might
might
have
have
been
been
it.
what's worked.
Yep.
Because like I said, ever since I've been messing with the crystals, I've put this on mass social media, and I've even got hate on social media for saying it. But I've had more faith and more productivity from crystals and healings, meditation and all that other stuff than I've ever had praying to a fucking invisible man in the sky.
Right. Well, I think the praying and the I think it's all kind of the same thing. Their praying and the religious thing is kind of the same thing as meditating in a spiritual realm.
I just don't think
Your
it gets
mind
through
thought it's
though.
just a different. It's just a different. They're doing it because they feel that if they believe that version of what they believe in is going to make them a better person, and um, I don't believe that believing in the spirituality is going to make me a better person. I believe that working on myself spiritually is going to make me a better
Right,
person.
makes sense. Oh yeah, it definitely makes a lot more sense. I was gonna ask you another interesting question. What was I gonna say? When it comes to those type of people who are, Bible thumpers or this or that, do you think that they're shook when they come back and they're like, "Fuck, that wasn't it"?
Like from the past life.
Yeah, when they're all like, "Ah, damn, I didn't get to hang out in heaven." Or do you think that when they come up to the spiritual realm, or do you think that that's like their heaven is because they're programmed to believe that this is it? But my next thing was, and I got into this real quick, not a while ago, was the whole casket thing being like a fucking like a prison cell for your soul, because caskets and stuff like being buried and all that other shit that didn't come around until 600 AD or some shit like
They
that.
used
Like
to
well
burn.
after Christ, they would just burn them or whatever. You didn't get buried.
Right.
There wasn't gravestones, none of that stuff until modern day religion came around. And the longer it's gone on, they used to just be quick,
Wooden
wooden
box.
caskets, and now they're fucking 10-inch deep metal. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I've always thought about that too, as if once you die, it contains your soul, and it's just like, damn. Same thing with religion. That you go to Christian churches and stuff, they're singing and doing their hymns and stuff like that. And I've always believed, not always, but I've recently started to believe more and more that the pastor or the preacher or whoever it may be has secret knowledge in a sense. They've been able to practice it, so they've got an ability to contain the energy that's being done by whether it's praying in the church, whether it's hymning in the church, all that energy that's
Yeah.
in the church at one time, they're able to contain it, or whatever it may be, use it for their own good. Or I've never seen a pastor fucking
Poor.
poor and praying to God, all this
Yeah.
other shit. And then you see like the Catholic priests, they're always touching children and shit. Like, how does a religion worth trillions of dollars a year sidestep banging little kids all the time? How does that even happen? And that's why I don't believe in that. That is it being a good thing. You've got Muslims that'll blow up themselves and 200 other people for 72 virgins when they go to heaven. You've got Christians who believe that if they can touch little boys or little girls or whatever, and as long as they're the follower of God or whatever, He'll forgive them because He made them in their image.
5 Hail Marys and move on.
Yeah, I just don't understand that.
Yeah. I don't understand that either. Um,
I've never heard anybody say we're going to war for spirituality. We're going to war for it's the Crusades. Every time there's a major problem in the world, it's either the Christians, the Jews, or the fucking Muslims.
yeah.
I've never heard of a Buddhist fucking going and
Right.
killing fucking 100 people at the mall. I've never heard of a Hindu follower fucking,
Right.
touching little kids and shit like that. I just find that very interesting. I think that that's a lot of control. I think that's why it's a control factor. Modern day religion to me is a slave tactic
I agree.
to keep you abided by said laws while they break them all. It makes no sense. You pay more money into the church than you do your own life, and I've never understood that.
Yeah. I've never been, you know, much of a religion follower, but I do believe that there is a significant difference between religion and spirituality.
Now, do you believe that there's other worlds and stuff, other human planets with people doing the same exact thing we're doing right now? And I mean, they say that there's. I think they said that there's like 20. Don't hold me to this number.
Parallel universes? Is
No,
that what
no,
you're talking
not
about?
that. We'll get to that.
Planets?
other right now, other planets. There's 22 million like-sized planets of Earth in just our solar system.
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't.
You don't think so? Like
I don't
aliens and
know.
stuff?
I don't know. I believe that there's other life sources out there.
You still think they're humanoid?
I don't know what they are. I'm not really sure. I'm pretty convinced that we're not the only ones.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. I would refuse to believe that we're the only ones.
Yeah.
Do you believe in extraterrestrial visits and stuff like that, or do you think
Yeah.
that they're multi-dimensional beings? Bam,
Um,
mic drop.
could be
Question.
both. Could be both. You know, I don't know.
Or do you think? Yeah, that's what I was. So I don't know. I just think that's really weird. What if after you die on this planet, you go to the next planet, and like the next planet, and like the next planet, and next planet, and next planet. I guess if that was the case, then whichever planet people are coming to from this one blew the fuck up because our population soared from 200 or whether it says like
Yeah.
2.3 million and 19 something to 7 something billion now.
Yeah. I don't know.
You think that's also why there's so much war and stuff is because there's so many people that are just like fuck you.
I don't know. People could be frenzying trying to do population control, which is possibly what happened with the whole vaccine thing.
Oh
that
yeah,
happened a couple
100%
years ago
believe
to
that.
try to control population.
They call it random adult death or something or random adult sudden death or some shit like the ADSD or something like that. And it's like
Yeah.
growing up, I never heard of 18, 19, 20-year-olds just dropping dead from running a race or from playing basketball or from, whatever it may be. Um, but at that point, though, is it hard not to believe in a greater good and in a greater evil, a heaven and a hell, a Satan and a God? Because if they are population controlling it and being demonic and doing quote unquote demonic rituals and all these other things, do you not think that at some point there's got to be a purveyor or surveyor of good and a surveyor of evil, like a lead of each?
Again, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, there's no questions that nobody has answers to. So we're.
I know, but it's just what's your idea on it? I'm not asking for the concrete answer. I'm not expecting to get a concrete answer. What's your opinion on it?
I don't opinion. My opinion is I don't believe that there's a heaven and a hell. I believe that there's.
So how do you think we all got here? What do you think is the creator of Earth? The Big Bang? I know you don't. It's a speculation. Or do you think somebody set it all in motion? Or do you think we're extraterrestrial, scientific?
Beamed down from the outer worlds.
Yeah.
To
see what happens. Yeah. Or do you think we're just some fucking Sims, Matrix, animated
game?
Somebody's just watching us fucking do it.
I know all those theories are out there, aren't they?
Yeah, oh yeah, they all are. I guess we'll find out in the next life. That's my next question. When it comes to next lives, past lives, and soul family, how do you know that you've connected with a member of your soul family in life? Or how do you think you know?
I'm not 100% on this. I think your friend Shell probably has a better.
I know. I plan on actually getting her back on here
better
about a week or
knowledge
two.
of this, but I feel that if it's someone from your soul family, it's someone who you may meet early in life or wherever you meet them during your life. It's someone who you're always attached to. So if maybe you met somebody in first grade that you don't even know that you knew them in first grade, but then you run across this person again in high school or in college or at work, or your lives just continually seem to intertwine, but not necessarily stay together. Maybe
unintentionally intertwined.
Like you just happen across each other again. So I don't specifically think that it's someone in your soul family that you are together with through your entire life. I think it's someone who bounces back in and out of your life that you are connected to.
Sorry, I got the chills there for a minute.
So doesn't it for some reason you're connected. You could know them when you're 16 years old and not see them for 20 years, but then it's just like you didn't miss a day in the 20 days. You walk up, talk to them just like if you had known them the entire time.
What about the people that you come across in your life that are complete strangers and are still strangers, but you got that one night, that weird one day? like I've had many people in my life where I've ran into them like at a party or a get together or a cookout, whatever it is, and I'm like, dude, I fucking know you from somewhere. I can't fucking
Yeah.
remember, but I know you from somewhere. And I won't have any idea who this person is, obviously. But the energy or like the aurora or whatever you want to call it, I'm just like, I want to know more about you. I want,
Yeah.
it's not,
You have an
it's
instant
not a
connection
love
with
thing.
them.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like a, who the fuck are you, and how do I feel so connected to you?
I don't necessarily think that those are always your soul family, but
Do you think
definitely
those are
someone that you
souls that
knew
you've interacted with in
in
a
a past
past life?
life. Yep.
Holy shit!
Yep. There are people that you knew in past lives that you come across and you
What the
automatically
fuck?
have that connection because you knew them from before, and that's why you're like, oh my god, I feel like we've known each other, like we've been best friends or something. That's because you had a relationship of some sort with them in your past life.
But you don't think that's the soul family?
I don't think it has to be your soul family because I think
Maybe a
if your
soul
soul
clan?
family, if it's your soul family, I feel like they come in and out. It's not just like a one time meeting.
So you think that those people that are coming in and out, soul family wise, they're to help you continue your journey on enlightenment, compared to the people you had a past life experience
That
with.
you cross paths with again because we're all sent back, right? So you have a past life experience with them, and then you cross them in this life, and they're really familiar to you. You just don't recognize them because we're different.
What do you think's the main purpose of past life regression and stuff like that? Like, do you think that learning about your past lives could help you continue forward, or do you think not knowing? Because obviously, if you were meant to know, or if you were meant to remember, or if you were meant to do all this other shit, then you would, right? In a sense. I mean, I would imagine so. Or do you think that by doing past life regressions, you get that knowledge and you're able to conform that into a goal or a pathway or this is what I need to do to do this or do that? Or do you think that not knowing is what makes this life so great? It's a journey.
I think the past life regression would be beneficial because it would show you where you have been. Lots of times it's easier to figure out where you're going if you know where you've been.
But at the same time, do you think that could have negative instances of, like I was telling you earlier, like what if you do a past life
Right.
and you're like, holy shit, I killed 5,000 people for some odd, stupid reason and didn't even really. Do you not think that that has like a negative inclination to this life? Or do you think knowing that you could start like, fuck, man, I can't believe I did that. Like, why did I do that? Why, what was my mindset? Why would I have? Or do you see what I'm saying?
I kind of
I
think
guess
it's a
that's a kind of hard
mindset.
question to
Yeah. All
even,
of your questions are hard.
yeah,
I think it's a mindset. I think if you do
try
a
to get
past,
paid.
I think if you do a past life regression with an open mind to find out where you've been, I think it could definitely have a reflection on where you are and where you're going. Um, but I don't think it can like. I don't feel that it could completely alter where you are because you're already where you are. So the only thing you can have control over is your future.
Right. I'm trying to think of so with the soul family though thing. Do you think that when one soul family member has all that negative built up energy, does it affect the whole soul family?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would. I mean, how could it not? If you're all attached and
But that's what I'm
so
saying. Like, does that not, like, can we survivor and vote this motherfucker off the island, or?
yeah, I don't know. That would be really great because and maybe if you go back and you see the same people in your past life regression that are in this life, then maybe that gives
Yo,
a
what if
inclination.
you do a past life regression and you find out the other people that are quote unquote in your soul family, and then you did like a group fucking past life regression and figured out who the fuck up was?
Yeah, and then kick them off.
You not even kick them off the island, but I mean just be
Be like,
like,
dude,
yo,
get your
yeah,
shit
yeah,
together.
you're the one that's fucking us up here, bro. You need to get this shit together. I think that'd be crazy.
That would be cool, but I don't know. I mean, can you specifically determine who your soul family is?
No, I don't think so. And when Shell was talking to us about it, she said that one of the ones that she did, or one of her favorite ones that she remembers vividly, which really freaks me out, the fact that you people can do this. First of all, never mind the fact that you're visiting past lives, but the fact that someone can fucking movie theater, kick back and watch you fucking take this path is crazy to me.
Yep.
But she said that her favorite one that she's done was for I can't remember the dude. She didn't tell me the dude's name due to like the HIPAA of spirituality.
Right.
Um,
It's same as the doctors,
yeah,
psychologists,
yeah. She,
whatever.
confidentiality and shit, which is cool.
Yeah.
I had no problem with that, but I still wanted to know what one looked like. How do you even grasp that fact that you're watching someone else's past lives. You know what I mean? It'd be, like I said, it'd be like watching your life in a whatever.
Right.
But she said she didn't get to see what he had done in life, but he was at his judgment of not being able to let things go and this and that through his past lives, and that was her favorite one because she got to see not just one past life, but the continuation of multiple past lives into the judgment period of
Wow.
can you get through this? Can you not get through this? Oh, you can't. Come on back down. And so I just thought that was pretty cool. Like to be able to watch that, thinking about someone's judgment like that, and because the craziest thing is you're not being judged by anyone but yourself. So it's like if you can't let go of the things that you've done, and you're not really
Right.
okay with the things that you've done, then you're coming back to try it again. It's just crazy to think about. Like that's why I think it'd be
Yeah.
cool if you got a whole group of motherfuckers that are all soul family, and it's like, all right, guys, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's get it together and see what happens. I think that would be pretty crazy.
That would be cool. You'll have to talk to her
You
about
know,
that.
because I'm gonna ask her about that. I'm gonna see if that's even possible. If people are able to recognize their soul family members. Because I feel like the
In
vibe
different
would be
lives.
there, right? Like as you're doing the past life regression, you'd be like, "Oh, I've felt that person before. I know who that is, or I know who that is," and blah 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 blah.
Right.
And then if you start questioning that shit, as when you come back from the regression, and you go to the people that you saw in your past life, and you're like, "Yo, you remember this?" What if that starts just trickling down? Like, damn, I fucking what the hell?
Yeah,
What the
that would be
hell?
crazy shit.
Yeah, that is intense. I can't think of. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it
I
was
feel like I touched base on everything that we
a
needed to
good
touch base on
discussion.
that you were willing to answer or could answer for that matter.
Yeah, you
I,
got a little bit above my head there for a little while.
I definitely plan on getting another episode together with you and Shellon just to see the different uh, contracts of that or contrast of Reiki and hypnosis.
Yeah.
Because I had always thought that hypnosis was dangle the clock in front of you or
Right.
cluck like a chicken 3 times or whatever the fuck it may be. And then they've got people out there that are like, oh, I can help you stop smoking or I can help you lose weight. And I'm just like, I don't really want to give you that kind of control over my mind, bro. Like, what the hell?
Right.
But well, actually, I'm sorry. I do have one more question. Do you think that the self mind is more powerful than the collective mind? Meaning, if you collectively are thinking of something, collectively manifesting something, collectively trying to produce an outcome, do you think that it's going to be more prevalent than a single person trying to better themselves?
Yes.
Interesting.
Because it's the more energy that you're focusing on. You
More
got,
energy towards one goal
yeah,
compared
one
to.
person focusing on the goal, and if you have two people focusing on, you have a whole room of people focusing on the same goal, such as in that book that I told you that I was reading.
Mm-hmm.
There's many different instances in there where they have, someone that has an ailment or sick, that have been trying to heal themselves or have been, gone through all the gamuts of the medical, modern
Mm-hmm.
medicine technology, not been able to heal them, and they're suffering and miserable. And then, you go to a room where you have a whole room full of people who are meditating and focusing on healing this one person, and it heals them.
Have you ever walked into something like that where you've instantly just felt the energy overwhelm you?
Not in any kind of group meditation thing like that,
Well, no,
no.
not like a but I mean, like you have you never walked into a place like,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I should not fucking
Yes,
be here.
absolutely. Yep, I have. So, same way with bad energy. You can definitely feel when there's bad energy. You can feel when there's good energy. And if you have a bunch of people all focused on the same positive energy, yeah, I think it's much more potent
And I
than
really love the
one.
good energy feeling. It's almost like when you get into that room of good energy or the people that you have good energy with, you just a giddy fucking
Yeah,
euphoric mess. Like you can't even now that the sun's back out, it's just like you know what I mean. It's like a
right.
party every day. Can't stop. Cannot
Yep.
stop.
And that's all mindset. It's not something that you take or it's just everyone believing in a positive mindset.
Right, and I get that, but at some point it's like with the gray skies and it's rainy and it's like what the fuck this,
Right.
blah blah blah. The first day that the sun was out, man, I was out there in boxers doing the Thomas Edison and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Um, and I think that's been one of my biggest reasons to start believing in the Hellenistic, whatever it's called,
Holistic.
holistic healing and all that stuff. Like I've known people my own age that have gone for surgeries, didn't even wake up off the table because they accidentally cut something
Right.
or they fucked up. And then I know people. I mean, I just had that friend of mine that just OD'd, and it's like all this other thing. Uh, they've got wife and kids, and they've got a good life, good job, and it's crazy to me that they're just bam. You know what I mean? Instantly
Yeah.
gone makes you think that, maybe, I don't know. It's a really
Yeah.
weird subject, I guess, to really dive into. But same thing I was telling you before, the whole alley thing. Like, the deeper my dreams get, the more. It was just so weird that I've always had dreams where I've woken up and I'm like, well, I got to call grandma to make sure she's alive, or
Right.
I got to
Right.
call somebody to make sure they're alive. To the point where it was like, the dream became a movie almost, and she was telling me by like that shit will
Yeah.
forever fuck me up, and I will never get that instance out of my head, because in the dream, she even said it's always great when you get to visit. I hate to see you go. Gave me a hug and said bye, and I woke up and I'm like, nah, dude, what the fuck?
Right.
To this day, I'm still fucked up by that shit.
Right.
It's just wild to me how real that shit can feel, or how real it gets, or how deep it can really
Mm.
intricately get.
Yeah, that dream that you talked to me about, it kind of makes me think more of like the parallel worlds,
And that's what Shell was bringing
universes.
up, was
Yeah.
that in another life or another parallel universe, we still have yet to make our second or third
Mm.
connection or whatever. And since she died at an early age,
In this life.
this is the only way that she can
Yeah. In
contact me.
this
But
world.
that's what blows me away, though. Is it her in another dream being able to connect to my dream, or is it her being on that spiritual level of being able to contact me in my dream? That's a
Yeah.
whole nother level of what the fuck.
That's why we have to continue on our travels.
Yeah, I plan to. Especially with the more people I talk to that are doing. I want to get more to other people that are doing other sections too. Like, I know that there's many other holistic healing
Yeah.
techniques and stuff like that. Wouldn't mind meeting a shaman and a witch, and stuff like that. I think that would be pretty cool too. Um, just gotta be careful with that shit. I feel like a lot of people don't even know that their own power, their own connection to certain things. You fuck around and end up getting exorcism for the next 20 years or something. Have a demon following me.
Yeah.
Um, that picture that you showed me also with that lady that was in your kitchen.
Yeah.
What do you think's up with that? Do you think that's a parallel person? Do you think that's a soul family member watching over you? Do you think that that's a ancestor watching over you? Do you think that's just someone that lived in your house?
I think it was just somebody passing through. Really, I think it was just a spirit.
When you say passing through, why would they pass through here? First off, was my first question. Adding to that question, do you think that they're passing through this type of area because of the spiritual connection that you're growing inside the house itself?
It's a safe
Yeah,
space,
like a
maybe. Yeah.
manifestation of you're not going to be judged here. You're not going to, as long as you're not fucking with you, it's not going to be that big of a deal. But the thing with the whole evil man that you said that you saw or that you feel in your room at sometimes,
Right.
like, how, you know what I mean? Like, where does that all come into play at, or where does that all cross lines at?
I haven't quite figured that out yet. The woman that I saw in the kitchen, she didn't resemble anyone that I knew.
No, I
I
mean,
don't
even her
feel that there
clothes
was.
were like 1920
Yeah.
made type shit.
Yeah, they were old. She had old clothes, but sometimes I think that they're just like on their way someplace and they just need to
But
stop
why
for a
would they
minute.
stop here? That's my question.
Well,
Like,
like
do you think that there's like a do you think in your past lives, do you think that you were like that spiritual guide? And maybe that's why you felt such a calling to it when you started getting into it all. You were like, damn, like this is something that I can fuck with, or this is something that I do or I enjoy. Maybe 5 lifetimes ago, you were the person that was,
maybe I was the mystic or
yeah, or
the
even
shaman
what are those
or
people back in the Greece days,
the seer.
the seers and shit,
Yeah.
which would alter with your Viking stuff. That was way back then. Seers
Yeah,
and
seers were definitely prevalent in that time area. Yeah, I don't know because I mean she just was here and then she was gone. She didn't cause any issues. She was just looking around my bourbon cabinet, my
But
liquor cabinet.
do you think she was the woman that was causing your alarm and shit to go off, or do you think that was the evil man?
No, because he was afterwards. So it was right about the same time that I caught the picture of her in the kitchen that the alarms were going off. I've had instances where things have disappeared and then reappeared. Like I lost a ring.
Yeah,
once.
that's another weird one. I forgot about.
Yeah, I lost a ring once. That I don't, I take them off at night, put them back on in the morning. It was gone, couldn't find it, so I ordered another one. And like 2 weeks after I got the new one, I found the other one in a obvious wide out in the open kind of place that I would have obviously seen it. So I've had those things happen a lot.
Do you think that's them playing tricks on you, or do you think it's like a game, or do you think it's like
I think
I'm
they
here?
just want to know. Yeah, they just want to be known that they're here. They're close. The other images of spirits that I've seen. Like one of them was like a man in the 1920s. He had on the vest, the suit, the hat.
Was that the greenhouse?
Yep, and he was just piece. I saw him in a mirror, you know. But then that whole situation at that house changed a lot to where they all started being evil, different. There was a lot of spirits that I saw in that house.
Now, do you think
Initially, they
any of
were
those may have
not.
came to you from the White House? Do you think that any of them may have
I don't think
snagged a
so.
hold of anybody and came to the green one, and then their spirits that came from the White House were battling the spirits of the greenhouse? And
I don't think so. I think they were all there, or they somehow attached to us once we came there. But the ones that were there initially, it was an old man, like I said, looked like he's from the 1920s, and a little girl in a white nightgown.
yeah, something bad happened to that greenhouse.
And then after that, something bad. It just turned. After I saw those on a regular basis, like for a year or so, then all of the bad things started happening. Um, and I actually just left that house just because the energy was so bad and it was so horrifying and just so many bad things were happening.
Dread all the time.
I left it.
Dread.
I left it and moved out, and it was foreclosed on. But we had to leave. So, but then at the next house, I still saw spirits. They were different ones.
Yeah, that house in Blanchester.
Hmm.
That hidden ass fucking compartment in the back room. Do you think that was for negative things, or do you think they were just like bootleggers or something?
I think it was an old cellar.
Old cellar just
Way
hidden in the carpet.
in the floor, yeah. I feel like way old houses, they had the cellars, because that way they didn't have to go outside in the cold in the
I
winter.
get
They
that.
could just go down, get their canned jars.
And I get
stuff.
that, but in most cellars, you know where it's fucking at. You see where it's at. You don't stumble across it.
They had a handle on it.
Still sketchy.
But the images that I saw in that house was an old lady from like the 1800s or something. She wasn't an old lady, but
That was the original strip.
her clothing was definitely in the 1800s. And her hair was all up in a bun. I saw her a couple times, and then there was someone who used to walk like it was attached to me, because when I was upset or sad, they would pace back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
And see, that's why I asked you about that person up in your room with the evil guy. Is because do you think that's not one of your soul members that died early on in your life and they're just
It's the only
attached to you?
it's the only incidents that I've had with that upstairs. That person.
No, I'm
that
saying
image,
with the people that were
spirit.
walking because you were upset and pacing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like,
They may have been, but the spirit that was here that had me really freaked out.
what do you think that was about?
So, I don't know.
Do you think that was like somebody trying to send a message like you're getting too deep, motherfucker? You better back the fuck up.
I don't know. It was really weird. It's like I can see the spirit. I could describe it to you to a T. I could feel the bad vibrations from it. Yeah, I mean, so much that I slept on the couch for a
Right.
month.
I remember you telling me that. What about aurora or auras? When did you start seeing auras?
Just by learning. I was watching.
You trained yourself to see them? They
Yeah.
didn't come naturally?
I didn't know how to see them naturally.
Well, some people you hear them say like, "I can feel your energy. I can see."
Well, I
And
can
these
feel
are people.
energy,
These are
but-
people before they even start learning about Reiki and
Yeah, I could feel energy. I mean, energy's fairly easy to feel if you're.
open to it, susceptible to it.
Yeah. Like as soon as you walk into, like if I was to walk in here and you were in a bad mood, I could instantly feel that you were in a bad mood.
Yeah, but I'm very good at doing that, and I hate doing that. I've been working on that myself for many, many years of trying not to
Put off bad energies.
put off my feelings and vibes and stuff. I always try to keep it as a
Yeah.
cool and calm and collective unit. But that's hard, man. And I think that has to do with me being a Scorpio too, is evolving from being the dickhead, poisonous scorpion
Yeah.
to the eagle, and then eventually to the phoenix. I'm nowhere near the phoenix yet, but I definitely think I'm an eagle
Yeah.
version of myself.
You're definitely much more enlightened than you were before, but yeah, I have no idea what that was, and even when it's brought up, it gives me the same.
I know. Every time
feeling.
I've talked to you about it, your whole complexion changes. I know. That's why I want to. I feel like there's got to be something to this. Like,
Yeah, I'm like, damn it, why did you bring that up again? Because I don't want that to come back. It was really scary. Living by myself and having
Yeah.
that fear of going in my room, and
it's
that
like nothing you
just
can do about it either. It's
bad
like a
vibe,
ghost.
yeah.
Can't shoot it.
Yeah, so that was really weird. But since then, I haven't had any weird things happening.
Was there like a major decision that you needed to make during that time? Was there some kind of self-conflicting mental shit you were going through, or just a
No,
freak
I don't
nature, huh?
think
A
so.
freak accident. Man, maybe he was
I
just a
don't.
dude.
What?
What if he was here looking for that bitch in the kitchen?
They look like they were from two totally different time eras. But yeah, you never know. I mean, it's hard to tell why people or why spirits go.
But go ahead, sorry.
Maybe fine.
I was just gonna say that picture that you showed me changed my whole life. Because before then, you could believe in ghosts, you could believe in an afterlife. You've seen pictures, you've seen the ghost hunters, and it's like, what the fuck? But when you see it, like, and you know that it couldn't have been doctored, you know it couldn't have been edited, you know it couldn't have been this or that, you're like, cool.
Yeah.
I know there's something after this. Ain't no big deal. I mean, still life is life, but it really made me feel like, man, like
I have 3 pictures.
the knowledge
like
of what I think and what I know is too, and what I don't know is fucking.
Yeah, I have that picture that from the lady upstairs in the kitchen that I caught on my house cameras, and then house I lived in Blanchester.
Oh,
There's
I've
an
seen
image
that one
of
with
the
the girls,
old
the
lady
two
on the
little girls.
floor. No, the lady on the floor. Her image was like the sun was coming through, and it was
With Kinsley and Hannah, right? Or was it
that's
just
the boy that was in the stairway.
okay? The
that I
boy in
showed
the
you.
stairwell. Yeah, I've never seen that one.
That one, I was taking a picture of Kinsley and her friend for Halloween, and
Hannah, what was it? Hannah Faulkner?
mm-hmm.
Okay, I was making sure it wasn't Hannah Mann because then that would made me. I would have been freaking
yeah.
like.
Hannah Faulkner. And I'm taking a picture of them, and our staircase to the back, going up to the bedrooms, is behind them. And I took their picture, and we got the picture developed way back when you got pictures developed. There was a ghost boy walking up the stairs, looked directly at me as I was taking the picture, but he obviously wasn't there when I took the picture. And then the lady on the living room or on the kitchen floor. So, there's 3. Those are 3 significant pictures.
And I don't know why there's other ones out there, but it was something about her in your bourbon cabinet really just shook me to my core. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Well, I think that's all the questions I have for you. I can't think of anything else. I appreciate you actually finally getting on here and talking to me. It took me forever to get her convinced to actually do this, so kudos to me, I guess, as well.
Good job to you, because I don't like to talk very much.
That's probably the longest you've talked in a long time.
Yeah.
Was there anything else you want to say to the people, man? I asked you earlier if there was a starting. Where would you give people the start point to start looking into spirituality or the crystals, or is there like a certain book, not Espenza, but or just do with what you feel?
Yeah, his book's a little in depth. I wouldn't start out with it because it would probably just completely blow your mind, and you'd put it up and never go back.
These motherfuckers are out their mind.
Yeah, but like I said, find something that you would like to fix. Like maybe if you're on antidepressants, like I used to be on antidepressants, and I haven't been on it for years since I started working with the crystals. Little stuff like the sleep. If you're not sleeping well, instead of taking melatonin at night, get an amethyst. Put it under your pillow, hold it in your hand, wear it as a bracelet, and see if that works for you. And then once you start there, if it does, and then you can, move on to other things and start reading and going from there.
Hell yeah. That's it for you? You don't got nothing else?
That's it. I'm good.
Right, man, this is Gorilla signing out. Until the next one. Job.